Old Fashioned Football's Week 11 start sit and NFL Best Bets edition on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code OFFSUPN to score up to $1,000 in bonus cash. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
Hey, what's up? This is Sam Acho, and you're listening to Old Fashioned Football.
Old-fashioned football.
You make this deal right now, you pancake-eating mother.
All right, deal.
Old-fashioned football.
Welcome to Old Fashioned Football. If you're wondering who you listen to, this is J Mark. You can find me in the X at J Mark Football. And if you're wondering who us is, that's at Old Fashioned FB. Before I keep going to talk about Week 11 start sits and best bets, I got to introduce my co-host on the pod and in life. You can find her on the X at the Mark. How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. It's Week 11. It's like must win. You got to win these matchups for your playoff pushes or playoff seeding. Even you want to have that number one seed. And we have 4 teams on a bye, which always makes it tough. Can you remind us?
Yeah, I was going to say who the buys are.
That's what I was going to ask you to remind us of. You were on it. I didn't even have to ask you. You were on it.
We've got the Bucks, the Cardinals, Giants, and of course the Panthers.
Yes. I guess I shouldn't say nobody's starting Panthers because Chuba Hubbard's been pretty good.
Yes.
Pretty solid. We're going to be answering your questions. So if you have any, throw them in the chat. Otherwise, we got start sits. We got injuries. We got Underdog Fantasy bets, best bets, all the good stuff for Week 11, right?
Yes.
Are there any certain leagues where you absolutely need a win?
Many.
No,
I will say in all my dynasty leagues, I have secured playoff spots. Like it's
nice.
Guaranteed.
You're still alive in the choppa.
I was just going to mention the guillotine only has 7 weeks left. There's 8 teams left.
Yeah.
It's getting scary. I just got CeeDee Lamb. Whoever got chopped last week, Justin Jefferson was up, Josh Jacobs, CeeDee Lamb. There were several other. All I had was $90. And yet somehow I got CeeDee.
You got CeeDee. Well, everybody's a little afraid of what he's going to look like with Cooper Rush and or Trey Lance thrown to him, I feel like.
Everyone went after Justin Jefferson.
There's that too. Yeah, I suppose this time of year, you don't have much money left for anybody, huh?
Not me.
Not me.
I've been spending it.
I do want to give a quick shout out. I mean, obviously, we have 2 listener leagues going on. Sorry, were you done? Or
no, I was going to mention the listener leagues. We need to give some standings there. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's what I was going to do. So in our Savage and Cook League, which is a pirate league. So if you've never done a pirate, if you win, you can steal a player from the starting lineup. That's how our rules are stated, from the starting lineup. Some you can steal from anybody. The guys at Sports Nonsense and Whiskey sitting at 10-0 at the top spot.
Nice.
And Mr. Nick Fortune sitting at 10-0 at the top spot. So the Sports Nonsense Whiskey guys do have a lead over them because of points. But yeah, those are the top 2 teams. And then Bryce Gaskin, Spicy Eli Wilson, and Distiller Kate from Keeper's Heart are the top 6 teams. Of course, the winner there gets a bottle of Savage and Cook rye, I believe it is.
Yes. Yep, it's the rye.
So that's exciting for whoever wins that. I am not at the top. I still have yet to win a damn game. It's been a complete
I haven't paid
show.
attention to that. You still haven't won.
No. It all went downhill after I drafted CMC, and then I lost my first matchup by 2 points, and then it was just all downhill. Just all downhill from there. And then the Keeper's Heart Bowl, which is our auction league that we run, also a listener league. We got Jamie Parag winning that one right now at 8-2. Not far behind him, though, Mr. Rod Villagomez of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast at number 3. Yours truly Rod's at number 2. Yours truly at number 3.
At number 3.
Bryce again, 6-4. The Sports Nonsense Whiskey guys at 5th place, 6-4, and Cereal Sir Long Dong coming in at 6th place right now. But a couple weeks left, so everybody still can make a push.
I do have to go back to our Pirate League.
Yeah.
Do you know the team I play this week
Cody.
in the Pirate?
Yeah. You play in my... Oh, are you talking which Pirate League? We're in 2 Pirate Leagues.
Our Listener League. I said to go back to our Listener League.
Oh,
wait, no. I'm thinking of the other Pirate League.
Okay.
Yep, I got him confused.
Who do you play in the other
I was
Pirate
like,
League?
it's not Cody.
Oh.
Well, the team name.
Oh,
It's
no.
the Catalina Wine Mixer.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
Do you know what movie that's from?
Yes,
Do you at least know?
I know what movie that's from. Step Brothers,
And
which is
then-
in my future on Friday night.
It is. Well, and then we got a text this past week on one of our text groups. And the name of our text group is Boats and Hose. You realize that, like,
What text group are you talking about?
our big friend text group.
You have to realize, as a Android user, I don't see a text chat name. I just
you
see
kid- you
people's
don't?
names. No,
The title. Are you serious?
I am absolutely serious.
Oh, I feel so bad for you.
Why? I don't need to see some.
So you don't
silly
see the photo either?
No, you're gonna have to
Because
show me what you're talking
for
about.
like the past, I don't know how many months, our chat group our text group has been called Boats and Hose. So you haven't even been in. Okay, Justin, I'm done. I'm done.
You'll all be happy to know that Friday night, after I make Miranda watch the Tyson Paul fight, that we are then going to be watching Step Brothers.
And
So
you will laugh.
I will
And if you
laugh.
don't, I will be mad at you.
I'll have a drink in hand. So, I was discussing this with my dad, and I said, I'm gonna have a drink in hand. So maybe halfway through, that drink will be gone, and the movie will be a lot funnier. We'll see.
You're horrible.
It'll be a stiff drink. Speaking of a stiff drink, Miranda, what are we drinking today?
Well, on Monday we reviewed 2 XOs American Oak, and we talked on Monday about how we thought it would be good in a smoked old fashioned. So you made a smoked old fashioned and a regular, so we could try it both ways. I haven't tried either one yet.
I have not either. So
I can't help but notice that there's no orange in this.
Shit. Yeah, I was running in a hurry and I forgot the orange. I'm sorry.
Did you put enough bitters in it?
I put a lot of bitters in it. We're running.
This one looks very yellow.
We're running low on oranges.
I will make more.
While you're trying that, I want to let everybody know that if you have not downloaded the SGPN app, you're missing out. The SGPN app gives you access to all the podcasts on the network, and there's a ton of them, and all our picks pages in one convenient app. So, people will say, Justin, you're 91 and 53 ATS. Holding up the number 2 spot now. I did fall out of number 1. I'm number 2 by 1 percentage. How can I tail your picks? Well, they're right there in the SGPN app. You go to NFL picks page, you'll find my name, boom. And you can compare it to other guys like Sean Stacking the Money Green, Ryan Real Money Kramer, Moneyline Mac, Cody Zeeb, all those guys. Plus, you can get all our content in the app. And just like everything for the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, it's all free. So why not? Type in SGPN in your app store to download it today. Bettors know that the SGP means same game parlay. And I learned that around the same time that I discovered the SGP, the Sports Gambling Podcast. And I heard them talking about that today. They named it the SGP and the SGPN before that was even a thing betting wise. So they were like ahead of the game there. Shall we go over the injury report?
Yeah. I think I'll speed us through this here. We have Keon Coleman. I think he's going to miss another game.
You speed through while I get to taste.
You taste, and you let me know what one is your favorite of those 2. Nico Collins is expected back, but we also thought that last week. Trevor Lawrence has already been rolled out. We'll be updating the big ones on our YouTube and Twitter accounts. If any, more come in before.
Well, because a lot of these on Thursday, they're always like questionable.
They are.
I don't know.
Yep. But Sam Laporta, he didn't practice yesterday due to a shoulder injury, but he is expected to play. He's one to keep an eye on. Najee Harris didn't practice due to his ankle injury, but he returned after injury last game, and he is expected to play. We've got T. Higgins. He's been missing games with the quad injury. He practiced yesterday, so he's trending towards playing. We've also got George Kittle, who didn't practice due to a hamstring injury, but is expected to play through that.
He tends to play through a lot of injuries. So
I've got 2 more for you guys. Dalton Kincaid has a knee injury. He didn't practice. We're still waiting on that severity of that injury. And then Isaiah Pacheco, he's not expected to play. What?
just the way you pronounce severity was interesting to me. You said severity, and I always say it's severity. Data. All right.
Okay, we're moving past this. You're gonna make me think too much on it. Anyway, Isaiah Pacheco isn't expected to play this week, but should be back next week.
Yeah, he's coming back from that. I believe it was a fractured fibula. They activated him from the IR, but I don't think he's going to play. So shout out to Patricio Bonata. Start one, DeAndre Hopkins, CeeDee Lamb, Devontae Smith. I'm going to immediately rule out CeeDee Lamb. I don't think you can trust that offense with Cooper Rush playing against the Texans, who have been decent. And not to mention, I have a feeling Trey Lance gets in the game at some point. I don't think Cooper Rush is going to be good enough. You know, a lot of people have talked about, and we even talked about it, where CeeDee Lamb was good 2 years ago when Cooper Rush played for 6 weeks, 6 weeks. But if you think about it, 2 years ago, this was a completely different team. They could run the ball efficiently. Their offensive line was better. The coaching, the play calling was better. Kellen Moore was calling their plays at that time. I think that's really holding them back, the fact that this is not a great team anymore. So I wouldn't trust CD. Nick wouldn't trust CD to run his popcorn stand. Man. So then we're looking at DeAndre Hopkins for the Chiefs and Devontae Smith, who plays tonight against the Commanders. That Commanders team has been pretty decent against the pass. Now, I don't think they can slow all the Eagles' options, but that makes me a little bit nervous. So I guess that's kind of leading me to the Chiefs, isn't it?
I guess.
The Chiefs play Buffalo. They're 19th ranked against wide receivers. Their adjusted fantasy point average is 0.7. So normally what that means is whatever your receiver is projected, it's not changing much. Whereas Devon Smith goes against the Commanders, the adjusted fantasy point average for them is minus 4.1. So they're on average scoring 4 points less than their projection. And then we had CD Texans. They are doing 4.2 over, but I just don't trust that offense right now. I think you have to see until they can jive together better without Dak. You agree?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Hopefully that helps. Omar K from Tupelo Honey in Omaha, Nebraska. I don't know what Tupelo Honey is, but hello. Is it a whiskey place? And he also didn't know that Nick had a popcorn stand. More details, please. The Smitty asking, would you trade Kenneth Walker before the deadline? I don't think I would. He's been very solid. I know the Seahawks haven't been super solid, but Kenneth Walker is a great asset. And DK Metcalf is coming back, I think, this week, which will open that run game up a little bit more for them. What are your thoughts there?
I agree with you.
You agree with me. And Nick Fortune hoping... Yeah, there's a lot of agreeing going on. I don't know if I like this. Nick Fortune hoping that KC Bills game is a great game and Mahomes doesn't whine when he loses. I'm very torn because that's a later window game. It starts at 3:25, and the Canadian Football League Championship, the 111th Grey Cup, starts at 5 on Sunday. So, you know, we're going to have multiple TVs going so that we can watch both those marquee matchups. You're shaking your head like, oh boy, this is what I'm in for. Is that what that head shake was for?
I stick with one league.
Got to expand to the CFL, honey. Real quick before we keep going, I got to let you know that we're brought to you by MyBookie. That's right, mybookie.ag. SGPN started out with MyBookie way back, and now they're back. They have a new and improved website. It's great on mobile. They got props for every game and the live dealer casino. Yes, please. Sit at your home and play the casino. Let's go. And they have new early cash out options, which is always nice too. Right now, I'm going to take Eagles -4 over on MyBookie. I think they win easily tonight. Just head over to mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN for 100% deposit match up to $1,000 plus a free $10 casino chip. Put it on red. That's mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN. All right, we're back. Would you put your free $10 on red, or since it's free, would you pick a number?
Red.
Yeah. Better chances of doubling your money rather than just losing the $10. Do you have, I know we're getting a little off track here, but do you have a certain numbers you play in roulette? I know we've played some roulette with your family. You don't play it as often in the casino, but we do a lot of roulette at family get-togethers. Do you have certain numbers you play?
I don't know. I never play numbers.
You know, yeah, you play lines, right?
No.
6 numbers.
4.
4
numbers.
4 numbers. Okay, so you go in the corners. All right. That's Miranda's strategy. I play number 6, 10, 11, 13, 23, 22, and 34 every time. Lucky numbers. And usually works out all right. And 6, of course, for Jay Cutler, because I love Jay Cutler. 10 and 11 were your cousin's soccer numbers, and we always played roulette with them. Lucky number 13, 23 for Michael Jordan, 22 for Matt Forte, and 34 for, of course,
10 and
the Sweetness.
11. They've been number 7 for forever.
I know, but when we originally started playing, Caleb said number 10.
In middle school?
It might have been in middle school.
When they were
when
in
we
middle
were
school?
teaching them in middle school. You weren't
This has
supposed to
gotten
divulge
horrible.
that.
This is family roulette. It's
Yes.
different.
Nick Fortune plays 6, 9, nice, 13, and 22. What are
right.
your reasons for those, Nick? And while you're doing that, I know usually we have an underdog read before we give our underdog lineups out. A little different this week because my bookie snuck in there, but why don't we give out our underdog fantasy lineups?
Yeah.
Again, you can play this over on Underdog Fantasy, promo code OFF SGPN. Miranda, I'm going to let you start out with your Underdog Fantasy lineup.
All right. I've got AJ Brown higher than half a touchdown. He scored 4 against the Commanders last year. And even though they're slightly better on defense, I think he gets another in this game. The Commanders are 25th in receiving touchdowns allowed. I've also got Saquon Barkley higher than 1.5 receptions. He has hit this in 7 of 9 games. And then I think Hurts is going to have a good game, but I'm going lower than 18.5 completions. He hasn't had higher than 18.5 completions in the last 6 games. Jaden Daniels, I took the lower on 42.5 rushing yards. Daniels hasn't been running as much lately, and the Eagles are good against rushing quarterbacks. I also expect Iowa legend Cooper DeJean will be a quarterback spy.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right. And then I've got Noah Brown higher than 40.5 receiving yards. Brown has been good lately. He's gone over this through the last 5 games. I think the Eagles are going to work to stop Terry McLaurin. So Jaden Daniels is going to have to rely on Brown.
Yeah, I like that.
$10 pays you $184.10. If you do a flex entry and hit all of them, you'll get 92. If you only hit 4 of the 5, you'll get 29.10.
All right, I like it. Swapping over to mine. I have Jaden Daniels lower than 42.5 rush yards. I agree with your pick there. Cooper DeJean is going to be that QB spy, I think, and he hasn't hit this in the last 2 games. AJ Brown higher than 82.5 receiving yards. I just feel like he's going to have a big game. I do think Commanders have gotten better, but Brown just seems due for a big game. I was on the Pat Callahan show, which is an Eagles-based podcast last night, and Pat thinks he's due for 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. I like Saquon Barkley, 113.5 rushing receiving yards higher. He's hit this in 7 of 9 games. Devonta Smith. I zigged a little bit. AJ Brown is going to get some yardage, but I think Devonta Smith gets a touchdown, so half touchdown higher. And then Jake Elliott. I think the Eagles are going to score some points in this game. 2.5 extra points made higher. $10 will pay you $248.20 because that Devonta Smith touchdown bumps it up a little bit. Flex entry, $124.10 for all of them, or $36 for 4 of them. And again, you can go over to Underdog Fantasy and use promo code OFFSGPN. You're going to get a instant pick'em special and all sorts of good stuff there. One injury I wanted to cover that we didn't cover because we normally don't cover defensive injuries. However, we are pro Chicago Bears because we are miserable Bears fans. Jaquan Brisker. I don't know if you heard this, placed on injured reserve today for a concussion that he suffered in week 5. It's week 11. So you're looking at 6 weeks now that he has not been able to pass the concussion protocol, and it's bad enough that they've placed him on at least another 4-week injured reserve spot. Not good. Anytime you can't pass the concussion protocol after 6 weeks, it seems a little rough. Nick wanting to know what the pass attempts for Hurts is. I don't have that in front of me. Tupelo Honey is a restaurant. Josiah says, woo. Wesley says, good evening. How's it going? And Hunter says, what's up, Marks? Happy week 11. How's it going? Hope you win your fantasy football matchups this weekend. Unless they're against me, then I hope you don't. But I don't think we play each other. Should we jump right into the start sits we threw together? If anybody has any start sit questions, you're more than welcome to put them in the chat. We'll get to them as soon as we can. But yeah, I think we jump right into this.
All right.
Sorry, interrupting you. Before you do that, which of these did you like better of the old fashions?
Tell.
You can't tell?
I don't know if you made them right.
I made them the same way I always do.
My taste buds are just off. I don't know. There's something off on them. I think the smoked has a better flavor, but I feel like there's something missing from the old fashioned.
I made them.
You use both kinds of bitters?
Yes. I know how to make an old fashioned. Make them.
Well, you forgot the orange.
I did forget the orange. That was in a whole separate
Is the ratio of
ratio.
Yeah, ratio.
It's something that people say online. I don't get it, but they just comment ratio randomly on tweets.
Okay, well, never mind. If I don't know.
I made it how I always make them. So yeah, nothing different.
Yeah, I don't know. What one did you like better?
The smoked.
I think the smoke like goes well with the whiskey. Let me clarify. I don't not have an opinion because of the whiskey. It's because I think of how you made it.
Oh, here we go, folks. Here we go. Just read your starts. Okay.
All right. First, I've got Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Going against the porous Ravens defense, and I realize the Steelers' strong suit isn't the pass, but the Ravens just let Burrow throw for 428 yards and 4 touchdowns. I also think he's better than Wilson, but I think that Wilson is going to have a good game.
Yeah, I like that. And in perfect timing, Josiah is asking Jordan Love or Mr. Unlimited. You're saying start Russell Wilson. I 100% agree with you there. And Jordan Love goes against the Bears, which I know the Packers have owned the Bears, but our defense
quarterbacks going against the Bears defense haven't been doing as well as they should.
Yeah.
But so I didn't have this decision to make, but I was debating between Jordan Love and I can't even remember who I put in instead of Jordan Love because of the matchup. But I am thinking though about the rivalry there and just the
way they've owned us. It's fine.
I don't want to say that they own us, but yeah.
Ownership has been transferred officially from Jordan Love or from Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love.
Yeah.
But I think our defense is too good. I think I'm not saying the Bears team is good. I'm saying the defense is too good. The Packers are going to win the game by running the ball. Mr. Unlimited goes against a easy defense where Jordan Love does not. So, and it's in Chicago. So you got that home crowd working against Love. I think I would easily start Russell Wilson. Should we answer a couple questions before we get back to our start list?
Do it.
All right. Ronnie Daniel says, evening for the full flex full PPR. Yes, thank you. DeAndre Swift, Quentin Johnston, or Calvin Ridley. Thank you. And cheers. Well, first of all, cheers right back to you, Ronnie. Man, this one's tough. What do you have any initial thoughts that jump off the page at you?
Kind of Swift jumped right away to me.
Swift jumped right away at you.
Yeah, I did not say that right.
Is that what you were trying
that's
to
what
say?
I was trying to say. You know what I mean.
So Swift goes against the Packers, who are 9th against the run. That adjusted fantasy point average is -2.8. So that's a little tough.
I guess that is. If you want to
Um,
go by that. But for me, it's kind of hard to sit him.
Quentin Johnston goes against the Bengals, who are 22nd, adjusted rate of 2 plus 2 points. I'm going to throw Calvin Ridley out only because Will Levis, I don't know if Will Levis is sustainable for making his teammates relevant. If they put Mason Rudolph back in there, I love it, but I don't know if I'm liking Will Levis. So we're down to Swift or Johnston.
Johnston, he's been doing okay, like doing well, but he's not getting a lot of targets.
No,
He's really not.
He's kind of touchdown dependent.
So this it really is more.
He's
He's had touchdowns in the last 2 games, which is why he's looking so well. But he was only targeted 2 times last week and 5 times the week before.
So of the game reviews, if you look at the game, there's been a bunch of times that DeAndre Swift has been open and Caleb Williams has missed him. Bears fired their offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron, and Thomas Brown, the passing game coordinator, is in. Is that something that he circles and he says, look, dump it off to this guy. You don't have to play hero ball. Pass it to Swift. He's open on all these dump offs, and therefore his fantasy football performance is better. Is that a possibility?
Possibly.
I think so. I'm starting to lean Swift.
Looking just on paper on the matchups, Johnson has a much easier matchup.
Yeah.
But it's hard for me to sit Swift.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I think you have to go with Swift. I think they'll work to get him involved, especially with the change of play calling there. Dylan Fink checking in saying full PPR, 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 1 flex. Daniels or Justin Herbert, Dobbins, Walker, Jacobs. You got to pick 2 of those. And then McLaurin, Hopkins, Dell left over in the running back that we don't choose above. So I'm going to go right away. I think I'm going to. It's weird to say not play Jaden Daniels because of his rushing ability, but he hasn't really been using his rushing ability.
He has a really tough matchup.
And he has a tough matchup. So it sounds like you're maybe leaning Justin Herbert as well. Playing against the Bengals, who are 27th against the pass. So they're not very good against opposing quarterbacks fantasy football wise.
Right. I think so.
Okay. I agree with that. Justin Herbert sounds like we're both on board. And then Dobbins, Walker, Jacobs. I'm going to say I support starting Josh Jacobs against the Bears. I think that's how the Packers are going to control the game, is on the ground with Josh Jacobs.
With the run.
Yeah, with the run. So now we're looking at J.K. Dobbins, who plays against Cincinnati, that we talked about. Looking at our chart here, they're 7th against the run, so they're pretty good. Or Kenneth Walker, who plays against San Francisco, 23rd. I think because of that, you go Kenneth Walker just because he's got a much better matchup, right? And then for flex, we got Terry McLaurin, DeAndre Hopkins, Tank Dell, or J.K. Dobbins that we didn't mention there.
What are your thoughts?
McLaurin is a stud, and it's hard to sit your stud.
You don't sit your studs.
Yeah. So you would go McLaurin, you think?
That's who stands out to me.
He's got a bit of a tougher matchup. The Eagles are the top team against wide receiver points, but I think they have to use McLaurin. I think he's going to have to be targeted.
Yeah, I would go McLaurin.
Tank Dell does have a juicy matchup against the Cowboys, 29th against the pass. Fantasy adjusted rate for points is 4.2. So the receivers getting an extra 4.2 maybe against the Cowboys. It's kind of my holdup, McLaurin or Tank Dell.
I think I would still start McLaurin.
Especially with Nico coming back. All right. Sounds good.
If Nico comes back.
Yeah, true. Oak saying Brian Robinson or Shakir at flex. Nick answered Robinson. I actually kind of like Shakir. I like Khalil Shakir. I know the Chiefs' defense is pretty good, but they have so many injuries, the Bills do, that Shakir is going to have the volume. Do you agree? All right. And then Hunter, do you like Estime as a running back too? I do, actually. I think he is going to continue to get more carries, He has a better matchup than he did last week when he had 14 carries for 50 some yards. And I think they're going to continue to have him as the featured back. We're agreeing an awful lot.
Well, I think with his, the amount of carries he's getting going against an easier defense.
It's a volume play. Right?
Yeah. If he's getting the same volume and has a better matchup, I feel like that's going to help him. Last week was a bad game for him.
Yeah, I agree. All right. We'll roll through the rest of our suggestions. Keep putting your questions in the chat. We'll get to them. You gave out Russell Wilson, right? I think I remember that correctly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go Brock Purdy, which I feel like, hey, that might sound easy, but if you're in a 10-team league, you probably have a couple good quarterbacks. Purdy having somebody like CMC to dump the ball off really changed how he was playing last week. He threw for 353 yards. It was his season high. And I think you can directly point at the fact that, hey, there's CMC that he can dump it off to and can break it off for 10 yards at a time or more. And then last year, Purdy played pretty well against the Seahawks. I think he threw 3 touchdowns in that last game against them. I expect that to continue. So I like Brock Purdy for my quarterback.
All right. At running back, I have Kareem Hunt. Hunt has been pretty solid, but the reason he's a must start is that the Bills have given up an average of 6.5 catches and 55 yards per game to running backs. And last week, Hunt was targeted 10 times and caught 7 of those 10 targets for 65 yards. So not only the rushing upside, he's going to be catching the ball as well. So he could have 100 yards in just receiving yards against the Bills team, plus his rushing yards and a potential rushing touchdown. I feel like he's a must start.
I like that. I like the angle of starting him too, because Pacheco may be back. This is his last chance to hold the reins on the backfield, maybe. So he'll want to show out. I like that one. I'm going to go with Nick Chubb. And I realize he's been a disappointment. He's been very bad compared to what we thought. And we're looking at him going, is Nick Chubb now just a regular dude? Second blowout of the same knee. But if he's going to have a breakout game, it's this week. The Saints are 5th worst in rushing yards allowed and 4th most in rushing touchdowns. This could finally be kind of a bounce back spot where if you got sneaky and you stashed him in the 9th or 10th round, you've had him ever since. Maybe he finally pays off for you.
Yes. And I've got at wide receiver, Cortland Sutton. He's been Bo Nix's favorite target, and Nix is still the 9th ranked quarterback. Sutton has averaged 10 targets and almost it is
my mind blown.
And he's not heavily rostered, which is
it's crazy.
Still crazy to me. But anyway, he's averaged 10 targets and almost 100 yards a game. The Falcons have not been great against the pass, so we no longer have to question starting the Broncos, best offensive weapon.
Yeah, I like it. I kind of was looking through matchups, and this is risky recommending 2 Browns players, but I'm going to go with Cedric Tillman because after Amari Cooper got traded, Tillman has been the guy. He's been the go-to guy. He's averaging 85 yards per game. He's 2nd in targets next to David Njoku. And he's had just this excellent volume, excellent production. And sometimes you do just have to chase the production and volume. So I think actually he's a must start the rest of the year until further notice. If they start tailing off, maybe you don't. But he's been really impressive to me, and he seems to have something going finally.
Right. At tight end, I've got TJ Hawkinson.
I like it.
I know. We weren't sure if Hawkinson would bounce back right away. His first game back was a little slow.
Yeah.
However, last week he led the team in receptions and tied for most targets. His snap count should continue to increase. And I think the Titans are going to limit Jefferson, meaning Darnold is going to have to look somewhere else. And I think he's going to be thrown to Hawkinson.
I like it. Mine's going to be an unpopular opinion. I'm okay. You can boo me. That's fine. Leave us a 5-star review and put that J Marks tight end start was fucking bullshit. That's fine. Cole Kmet. Shane Waldron is out. Thomas Brown is in. He utilized tight ends last year on the Panthers. That should have been an indicator to the Bears right away that the offense wasn't going to be good. We grabbed people from the Panthers to come in and help coach. Why would we hire somebody from the Panthers? They were awful. Anyway, tight ends for the Panthers were targeted 12% of the time. I realize that's not a lot, but they also didn't have anybody as talented as Cole Kmet.
Mm-hmm.
Cole Kmet, when they target him, he gets going and has these good games. I think they're going to get back to that. And I think Caleb needs to get Kmet involved for this offense to have any success. That Nick not liking that. Boo, he says. Hunter asking, do you think AR-15 will do better this time around that he has been named the starter again? Oh, man, that's such a tough thing.
I can't answer that question.
Yeah, it's really tough because he should be motivated, right?
Mhm.
He got drafted in the first round last year, then got hurt after playing some pretty good ball.
He has so much potential to do well.
Yeah. I would, if you have him and you don't have a better option right now, I would start him this week because they do play the Jets, which is a tough passing matchup. However, the Jets are 22nd in rushing yards allowed to quarterbacks. The past 2 games before he was benched, he was averaging 50 yards. I think Richardson could run for a lot of yards this week.
More than the 50.
Yeah. In fact, that's a neat angle that I didn't put in my best bets, but you could attack that in your bets of taking Anthony Richardson rushing yards ladder. So take 50 yards, 60 yards, 70 yards, take them all. And I believe at 90 or 100 yards, it's 10-1. So, yeah, I think that's what I would do. Nick did also like my Brock Purdy. He said that's a pretty good decision. I have a feeling his wife hears those jokes way too much when they're watching 49ers games. Should we talk about our sits?
Yeah. Do you want to kick us off?
I will. Geno Smith. Geno Smith is starting to look like, wait for it now, Geno Smith. The Geno Smith that was a disappointment. This guy, he looked good, surprisingly good when Pete Carroll was his coach. Pete Carroll's no longer the Seahawks coach, and Geno Smith is starting to look more like himself. Unfortunately, sorry, Geno. I know you tune into the show. I don't mean to discourage you, but you haven't looked good. The 49ers have also allowed the 5th fewest points or passing yards and 10th fewest fantasy football points to quarterback. So I would look elsewhere. I have him in a flex, and I'm looking elsewhere even for flex or super flex. I mean, I'm not even starting him in a super flex league, and that's when you know it's bad.
Yes. Yep. My quarterback sit is Sam Darnold. For a while there, we could trust Sam Darnold. Beginning of the season. Okay.
He looked amazing.
He did. And it just seems like we can't anymore. He has thrown a bunch of interceptions lately and not near enough touchdowns. The Titans aren't really a good team, but they're good against quarterbacks. I don't think that we can trust Sam Darnold anymore. If you started in like the first 5 weeks, he was one of the top fantasy quarterbacks during that time, but I think that time is over right now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't rely on him going if you like need that quarterback help going into the playoffs to secure a win so that you can get into the playoffs. I don't think you can trust him.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a huge surprise to start the year. So I see we got somebody tuned in on Instagram. We're awful bad at recognize the Insta people. So shout out to Season over there checking in. Running back, Najee Harris. I know the Steelers rely on the run more than the pass, but we already kind of talked about how they're going against the Ravens, who A, bad against the pass, B, good against the run. And on top of that, last week, Jaylen Warren finally looking healthy again, and they split carries. That is concerning to me as a Najee Harris manager. I think he's trending down. Trade deadline is this week in most leagues. Some it did pass, but in most leagues, the trade deadline is this week. I think I'd actually try to move Najee Harris now. I think you could get a decent amount for him. Not a ton, but you could get a decent backup piece when I think he's, kind of trending down. Shout out to Josiah on Insta as well. Just joined.
Yes.
Got all sorts of people joining the Insta.
Trying to keep up.
Yeah.
All right. At running back, I've got Travis Etienne against the Lions. The Lions.
The Ryans?
The Ryans. The Lions rush defense is one of the best in the league, and they're allowing the 6th fewest points to running backs. Etienne has already had just a disappointing season all the way around. But with him finally getting the bulk of the carries, you may want to throw him back in because of that, but I would advise against it this week.
Yeah, I agree with that. My moving on to wide receivers, my wide receiver, I get that it's hard to sit this guy because you don't sit your studs. He's a stud, so it's hard to sit him, but I would be cautious on Drake London. I have a feeling Patrick Surtain of the Broncos, who's been a very good shutdown corner. Now, DeAndre Hopkins was able to get some yardage on him, but for the most part was limited. I have a feeling he's going to follow him all over the field because, some defenses they run, if their cornerback one is lining up on the left, he stays there all game. Surtain moves. He moves with the top option. So I feel like he's going to be on him and he's going to limit him. So yeah, I would sit him if you can. I know it's tough. He's a star. He's a stud. I get it. But if you have a better option, take a better option.
All right. I've got Brian Thomas Jr. on my sit list. Thomas has had a great year. However, with Mac Jones as a starting quarterback last week, the whole offense struggled, including Thomas. He was only targeted 3 times, and none were long passes, which he thrived on with Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know if we were going to be able to trust Thomas until Lawrence is back, or Mac Jones plays better.
Yeah,
either or.
I wouldn't hold my breath on that. Yeah, I've heard, they ruled Trevor Lawrence out already, of course. I've heard he could miss the year. I've heard he could come back. So just keep an eye on that.
Yes.
I'm going to go with Jake Ferguson of the Cowboys. Sorry, Serial. He was so good last year, but this year he's been okay. And now with Dak out, I don't think you can trust this offense like we talked about earlier with CD, especially against a tough Texans defense. I realize they've allowed some passing yards. I get that. But just to tell you how bad things are for Dallas, Jake Ferguson led them in receiving last week with 24 yards. That was their top receiver at 24 yards. That's why I'm not trusting anybody on this offense. I would sit everybody, including CeeDee Lamb. I've got CeeDee Lamb and trade offers. People have been throwing them to me. I was like, no, I don't want any part of this right now. I just don't. Quit sending me the offers, people.
It pains me to say this next one, but I've got Evan Engram. And this is the same story as Brian Thomas Jr. They have a tough matchup against the Lions. And until Mac Jones can prove he can support these pass catchers, I don't know if there's a point in starting them.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that. 100% agree. Miranda, we already gave out Underdog Fantasy football lineups, but why don't you tell everybody a little bit more about Underdog Fantasy?
Absolutely. We are brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Pick'em has one of the biggest menus for all sports. I'm talking NFL, college football, college basketball, MMA, NBA, NASCAR, and more. And you can now use specials and boosts on all flex entries. We already gave out our picks for tonight, and there's still time to get down on those. Go sign up with promo code OFFSGPN to claim your special pick, plus first-time deposit offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code OFFSGPN.
And we're also brought to you by Rhythm. SGPN's proud partner Rhythm is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, and props. Build your own model, copy one of the top-performing models from the leaderboard, or have Rhythm build a model for you. And now you can track props in the Rhythm app. NFL picks, NFL props, college football, college basketball, and NBA. Rhythm has it all. They are all over Cortland Sutton, over receiving yards this weekend. So make sure you get down on that. All the models are saying to get down on that. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. All right, we are back. And Josiah says, I've got him. Should I try to trade Najee before this Sunday, or should I wait and hope he has another good game? The trade deadline is this weekend, so I don't believe you'll be able to trade him after this weekend. So you should try to trade him now, I would say.
We can say goodbye to crappy trade offers in the family league.
Yes. and in all leagues. I've gotten some crappy ones in general. I really have. I think somebody sent me, they wanted CMC now that he's back, of course. Didn't want him when he was sitting on my IR and I tried to trade him. They had CMC and Tyrone Tracy, who's really picked it up, and they wanted to give me Cortland Sutton and an RB2. I might have been Algier or somebody like that. And it's like, what? What do you think? I'm just sitting here drinking whiskey all day and I'm drunk and won't know what I'm doing? Good Lord.
Aunt Jill. It is her birthday right now.
Is it? Did she send you a bad trade?
No, but she accepted a trade.
Oh, yeah.
And then claimed she was under the influence.
That's true.
She had been drinking.
That's true.
And would have not made the trade.
And I think she was talked into it or persuaded.
Which, if we're going to talk
son.
about the family league and my aunt, it's her birthday today.
Well, happy birthday.
Yes.
To Aunt Jill. Hopefully I don't know who she plays, so I'm not going to wish her to win because it might be against me in the family league. All right. You tell me. While you're doing that, I'm going to segue us a little bit into our best bets. We're going to give out bets for tonight and of course the weekend. And you know what? This is our first year of adding betting to the show. Our show's been around for, is this our third year? I think this is our third year, our second on YouTube. Is that correct?
Well,
we're in our second year.
We just started our second year on YouTube like a month ago.
We're in our second season on YouTube, right? Second.
Yeah, we didn't start at the beginning of the season last year for YouTube though. Like I think it was after.
I think we kicked it off right at the beginning.
I thought it was into September.
I don't think so.
Well, regardless,
this season of NFL, we've added betting. We give out, if you haven't joined us before, just some prop bets. Nothing crazy. Couple against the spread bets I've started adding in because people have asked. We're up 42 units right now, which is pretty damn good. Anytime you're winning money, it's a good thing. So do you want to kick us off, or were you looking at who your aunt plays?
My aunt plays your dad.
Oh, well, I'm rooting for my Faja then in the family league. Not just because he's had
he's
partially,
1-9.
Yeah. Partially because he's had a rough year. He's 1-9 and I want him to get some more wins. But before he says, hey, this is no fun. I don't want to do this next year. He did tell me though, he said, my parents tune into our podcast. Your parents tune into our podcast. They like listening, especially now that they have the family league, but and partially
give them a
us,
family league. And then,
and then they like to listen. So my dad did say that, he listens and he catches names, but sometimes he doesn't really recall what we said with the name. So it could be somebody we're trashing.
So it's a 50-50.
Yeah. But then he goes, oh yeah, I remember hearing about that person. And so I'm going to take them and not realizing like maybe we said, do not draft this guy, stay away from him. So he said this coming year when we do our preview shows, which we do in the off season. If you haven't join our preview shows. We break down every team, every division. He said he's going to pay a little closer attention of who we say is good, who we say is bad. Yeah. So let's start with tonight's game and our best bets. Do you want to kick it off?
Yes.
I have a feeling you've been on a bit of a trend. Maybe you're going to
give it away.
Okay.
Don't be spoilering.
Spoilering. Don't be. Is that that sounds like something from Step Brothers.
No. No, it's just from me.
Don't be spoilering.
Okay. AJ Brown torched this defense last year. In 2 games, he had 17 catches for 305 yards and 4 touchdowns. Yes, the Commanders are better on defense this year, but I don't think they can stop everybody. I love the longest receptions.
I knew that was coming.
I know. I'm taking AJ Brown longest reception, 28.5 yards. Whew. I'm on the over.
That's a long one.
It is. Whew. At -115. He's had a catch longer than this in 3 of the last 5 games. So I feel like he's due for a big game.
Yeah, I like it. I'm going to say Saquon Barkley. He's been on fire, obviously. Earlier this year, his rushing and receiving was like around 100 yards, under 100 yards. He's gone way over 7 out of 9 games, and it's only been bumped up to 110.5. And every time he goes over this in those 7 games, he goes way over it. I think he has a big game. I think he hits over the rushing receiving. So yeah, that was in my Underdog Fantasy lineup or entry. It's going to be in this one as well. Should we do first touchdowns?
Yes.
I'm curious to see who you picked.
All right. Well, I thought about taking Barkley, but there's always the chance, that Hurts runs it in instead.
Yeah.
So I decided I'm going to go with the angle of a big play. And why not have the big play go to the guy I already talked about. AJ Brown.
Okay.
Getting that longest reception and a touchdown.
Maybe on the same play.
Maybe.
You cash both bets. Boom.
But yeah, I've got him to score the first touchdown at plus 750.
I like it. I do like that. I'm going to go with the Eagles to score first as well. Score the first touchdown anyways. You mentioned they can't stop everybody, and I agree with that. But I do think they try their best to stop Brown and Barkley. Trying their best doesn't mean they're going to stop him, which could leave Devonta Smith open. But I'm going to go a different route. Dallas Goedert been dealing with some injuries. Last week he had his first touchdown of the season because of the games he's missed and everything. I think he builds off of that, and they get back more on rhythm with Goddard, who had a phenomenal season last year. I'm going to pick him as my first touchdown, 13-1. So
that's a big one.
Yeah. Thank you. That's what she said.
All right.
Josiah asking, should I try to get rid of Rachaad White too, or should I keep him as a bench RB? I mean, I've not been a Rachaad White fan all year. I do think with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin out, he's been used a lot more. So I do kind of like him in that aspect.
I don't know if I would. Because of that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would get rid of him.
Yeah, because obviously Chris Godwin's not coming back. Mike Evans will eventually, but I think because of that, I would keep White. He's been involved in the passing game enough that I would keep him. Nick Fortune going with Jahan Dotson, 10-1, anytime touchdown on FanDuel. A little revenge angle there. He was traded from the Commanders to the Eagles, so I like that. And Pavos, maybe. Hopefully I said it right. Eckler or Juju Smith-Schuster, who's supposed to return this week, or Jordan Addison. Half PPR, pick one.
Pick one.
Eckler worries me because he's going to a backup role. However, if Washington gets down a lot, maybe he's in
he might
as
be
their
in.
pass catching back because he is their third down pass catching guy. So I don't hate that angle at all. I like Juju Smith-Schuster to maybe make an impact on his game back, especially now that they have DeAndre Hopkins. Travis Kelce is clicking now. Defense, the Bills have to focus on those guys, which is going to leave Juju open. And the Bills are 19th against the pass. I would not start Addison. He's got kind of a tough matchup.
I think I'm liking Juju.
You're liking Juju Smith-Schuster. Yeah. All right. Sounds like, so I was kind of between Eckler or Juju. You like Juju. So we'll go with Juju as a podcast. Yeah. What are you laughing about?
Oh, just you.
Now we're going to give out our week 11 best bets for the weekend. Feel free to put, if you have any other last minute start sit questions while we're closing the show out here, feel free to throw them in the chat. We'll get to them as soon as we're done with these bets. Miranda, I'll let you kick it off because ladies first, and I'm a gentleman.
Oh, really? Not when it comes to fantasy football.
Well, no, I'm not holding back.
No, you shouldn't. All right. I'm going to start by targeting somebody we talked about in the starts. I talked about Russell Wilson. Over 1.5 passing touchdowns at plus 108. We already talked about it. This Ravens team is terrible against the pass.
Yeah.
2 touchdown passes against them seems like an easy bet over on FanDuel.
Yeah, I like that. I'm surprised that 2 touchdowns are getting plus money. So I really like that. So the Bears are actually decent for my first bet. I'm leading it with the Bears, but I'm not betting on the Bears. Don't worry. The Bears are actually decent against the pass, though, but they're not against the run. You know, they're not very good. This is a bit of a high number, it feels like, when you look at it. Josh Jacobs, 72.5 rushing yards. But then when you look at his stats, he's gone over this 4 of the last 5 games. So maybe it's not all that high. Over 72.5 rushing yards, minus 114. Josh Jacobs. I think this is how the Packers control the game. We'll talk a little bit. I have some best bets for against the spread. Spoiler alert, not picking the Bears. And I think one of the ways the Packers do that is with Josh Jacobs.
All right.
Who you got next?
I'm doubling down on how bad this Ravens pass defense is.
Solid choice.
Yeah.
They are bad.
And I'm going to target the best pass catcher on the Steelers, and that's George Pickens. I'm taking the over 69.5 receiving yards at minus 115. He's gone over this the last 3 games, and now he has a really good matchup.
Does it make you wonder what the books are doing? Like what? Because you read Wilson's line at 1.5 touchdowns. Seems easy against the Ravens. George Pickens, 70 yards. That seems easy. Makes me wonder if they're paying attention over there. What's going on? I know the books are always paying attention, but just seems easy. So I always tend to want to throw in an anytime touchdown parlay. Today is no different. We're going to hit this week. I've missed by one the last 2 weeks. It's not missing by one this week. It's not the plus 1,700 that last week's was, but it is 11-1 plus 1,163. Can't complain about that. Just anytime touchdown parlay. We got Monty and Gibbs, both Lions running backs, because they have a really easy matchup. We have Derrick Henry. King Henry's team tends to score. George Pickens, the guy you just talked about. I feel like that's all easy. And I'm throwing Kyron Williams in there. I know he hasn't scored the past 2 weeks.
He's really overdue. He's got to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So those 5, 11-1. I feel pretty solid about it.
All right. My next one is going to be a little risky. But again, we talked in the start sits about how Brock Purdy, does against this Seattle team.
Yeah.
This is a little page out of your book.
Ooh.
I guess, but I've never done a parlay. I'm going to do a small game parlay.
Ooh.
Small parlay.
A small one. Okay. That's fine.
Brock Purdy, he is plus 270 we're going over 275 passing yards.
Okay.
Over 2 touchdowns. And then plus Christian McCaffrey over 27.5 receiving yards. That's plus 360. So a little over 3.5 to 1.
I'm taking notes. I like it. I like it. That's a solid one. And then I've started adding against the spread bets. So I'm throwing all these in a parlay. Packers minus 5.5. The Bears suck. I love the Bears. Bears are our team, but they suck right now. Steelers plus 3 against the Ravens. This is betting 101. If you listen to the NFL Gambling Podcast with Moneyline Mac and myself, you always back Mike Tomlin as a home dog. He always wins as a home dog. Doesn't always win as a favorite, but he always wins as a home dog. I'm taking Steelers in the plus 3. Then I'm taking 49ers minus 6.5. I already mentioned Geno Smith looks like Geno Smith. I think they win that game. Put all those together. It's plus 631, a little over 6-1. But if you're feeling a little frisky, which I am, you better check yourself. If you're feeling a little frisky, I already mentioned the 111th Grey Cup is this weekend.
Oh boy.
Make sure you check out the CFL Gambling Podcast with myself and Colby Dant. I'm adding the Blue Bombers alt line minus 6.5. That bumps that parlay up to 11-1. I really like that. Miranda, you would not believe how many messages I got while on the CFL Gambling Podcast in the chat asking if I was happy Chad Kelly got hurt, if I felt bad because I kept saying, fuck Chad Kelly, if I thought this was karma, if I laughed at it. I'm like, I'm not rooting for anybody to get injured.
But a little bit of
whether I
karma.
like people or not.
Does it feel like karma?
It feels a little bit like karma.
Okay.
Colby mentioned that maybe I went and visited a voodoo specialist and put a little hex on him. I don't know.
The guy is just not the best person. Let's just put it there.
It was funny to watch the comments on social media of people saying, look how none of his teammates helped him. Now, if you didn't see the clip, he broke his tibia and it looked like he got up and then realized, oh shit. And it looked like he was holding his leg together with his sock as he slowly sat down.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, his teammates didn't help him. And half the crowd said, what are they going to do? What are his teammates going to do? None of them are doctors. And the other half were saying, well, that's because he's a piece of shit. Why would they help him? So probably a little A, little B. So I got those in the parlay anyways. I'll digress here soon. I also did a little 6-point teaser, 3 teams. Vikings, tease them down to a pick 'em. Lions teasing down to 7 versus the Jags. Mac Jones is terrible. Dolphins tease them down to -1. Put all those in a 6-point teaser. It's plus 140. So you still get plus money, and I feel pretty solid about those. So yeah, did you decide which one you do like better, or you're just kind of out on both these whiskeys?
I'm not out on the whiskey. I'm out on the old fashions that you made.
Okay, fair enough.
I still think you missed something. You were in a hurry. It's okay. We all make mistakes.
All the ingredients are still on the counter. You can go check it out. And it's Peebos. I think I said Pebos. So
Yep.
Peebos. Evan checking in. Half PPR, pick 2, Devonta Smith, Pollard, and Najee. I'm going to pick Tony Pollard because of the volume there. Even if Tyjae Spears is back, I think you got to go Pollard. And And then I think in this situation, I got to go to Devonta Smith. We just talked about Najee Harris last week. He split the carries with Jaylen Warren.
Yes.
Has a bit of a tougher matchup, but that split carries is what bothers me. He's also dealing with an ankle injury. I know he came back in the game, but if he tweaks that just a little bit, they're going to pull him because Warren is ready to go. So
I don't want to agree with you, but it's good when we're trying to tell people what to do.
We do agree. Yeah, no, I agree.
I made a comment earlier, and I'm not agreeing with you because I like to.
Trust me, she doesn't. I can guarantee that. Just saying.
Okay.
Yeah. So good luck on your matchups, week 11. I hope you all get a win. Unless you're playing each other, then it's hard to root for one or the other. But hope everybody has a good weekend.
Mm-hmm.
It's the playoffs will be here before you know it. Trade deadline is coming up. It ends this week in most leagues, so get your trades in. Start putting feelers out right now if you think you need to tweak something just a little bit. I just added Joe Mixon in a dynasty league. Pretty happy about that. It's the one I'm 9-1 in, and I feel like he just solidifies the depth to make my playoff run.
It's a good pickup.
We are the top 2 teams in that league, and I hope we meet in the championship. I think that would be fun.
And I hope that he just isn't playing when we play each other in the championship.
Fair enough. Josiah saying, does Najee and Rashad White for Aaron Jones sound like a good trade? I don't know if I like that one as much.
Who are you getting? Hold on.
Hold on.
Who are you proposing this trade to as well? I'm going to find out.
Well, that doesn't matter. Look at it at face value.
It does matter.
I think you're giving up a little too much in that sense, don't you? I mean, I know I said Najee splitting carries, maybe try to move him, but if you're moving him and Rashad White, who's really
I just don't know that.
Yeah,
because of that. I mean, this isn't a keeper league here. This is a.
Aaron Jones also dealing with a rib injury. I know he came back from the injury and he's expected to play. But if he gets hit hard again in those ribs, then all of a sudden, he's got a rib contusion. He's missing several games. I don't like the trade because of that as well. So those are some things I would think about.
You're targeting your mother on her birthday.
Wow, Josiah. Targeting your mom on her birthday. What kind of birthday gift is that? Do you have anything else you'd like to add, Miranda?
This family league, I tell you.
You can catch us on the
Worse than a game of Monopoly.
It's worse than a game of Monopoly. You can catch us on Elon's platform, the X, where we're at Old Fashioned FB. Send us a message if you have start-sit questions that pop up, or just talk some shit with us. That's fun too. You can find Miranda at TheMark. You can find me at JMark Football. We're looking into. Have you heard of this new Blue Sky app? It's a lot of it's very similar to Twitter, but there's not a lot of fantasy football stuff on there, I guess. So we might just make an account on there.
Meander over.
Yeah, meander over. I think from what I'm reading, it's like the anti-Elon people are like, we need something else. We can't have this. But we might meander over there.
Something happened like that, but with Facebook, I don't know.
I don't remember.
Something happened where people. I don't know.
I'm bad on keeping up on these social medias sometimes. Or hit us up on Instagram, Old Fashioned Football Podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube. That helps us a lot. Like us. Give us a thumbs up. That helps a lot. And it helps with all the algorithms. And don't forget to please leave us a 5-star review on either Apple or Spotify. We don't have a giveaway going on right now, but, the kindness of your heart, it feels good to do good deeds. And join us for whiskey. We're going to have some distillers on soon. It's hard to work them in during the football season.
There's so much going on during the in season.
Yeah, so that is hard. Last question here. I'm not even going to try to pronounce your name because I'm not sure how that says. Zuidi? I tried anyways. Daniels or Purdy? I would go Purdy. Daniels has a tough matchup.
He does.
And the Eagles are good at limiting rushing quarterbacks as well, probably because they have Jalen Hurts to practice against. And Brock Purdy's got a pretty sweet matchup, and Brock Hard Purdy. He owned the Seahawks last year, so I would go Purdy in that one. I know it's hard sitting Jaden Daniels, but that's the route that I would go. And I think from our talk earlier in the podcast, you agree with that. All right, Miranda, your old fashioned is more full than mine because I didn't make them right. But my old fashioned's almost gone. And good luck, everybody. And let's hit our best, or let's hit one of our first touchdowns this week.
Yeah,
we're getting it. Going once, going twice.
Sold.